For a moment, I knew what it felt like to be Bill Walton. The biggest difference between Walton and me, other than roughly 1.5 feet, red hair, and not understanding how anyone could like the Grateful Dead, is that he was schooled by Coach Wooden while in pursuit of NCAA championships. And I was being chewed out by the coach with nothing but a plate of rubbery chicken breast between him and me. Are you worried about getting older? If you're like me, you want to get old, but you don't want to be old. Know what I mean? This is Mike Wright, and I'm on a mission to make the rest of my life the best of my life. You can too, as long as you've got a pulse. Are you up for it? Then welcome to Winning Your Fourth Quarter. Many of the heroes for boys of my generation, for some reason, were named John. There was John Kennedy, John Glenn, John Wayne, John Lennon, of course. Where I grew up in Southern California, we also had Coach John Wooden. Now, as the men's basketball coach at UCLA from the late 40s into the 1970s, the Wizard of Westwood, like he was known, guided his Bruin team to like 10 NCAA championships, including 7 straight. Now, he's been recognized by ESPN as the greatest coach of the 20th century at any sport, at any level. Coach Wooden's legacy reaches far beyond March Madness and even the sports world. In the mid-1980s, I found myself sitting next to Coach Wooden as he was getting ready to give the keynote address at a business person's luncheon that I had helped organize for a radio station I worked for. Now, famous people usually don't get me too rattled. Living legends do, though. And there I was, literally rubbing elbows while eating delicious hotel chicken next to the coach. Now, this man was something. With total sincerity, he looked at me, looked out at the hundreds of people waiting for his speech, and he whispered to me, "I can't believe anyone would still be interested in hearing me after being retired for all these years." Now, he put me a little bit more at ease with his remarks, so I figured I could make some hoop small talk with the coach. And I began to tell him how disappointed I was in my son's 4th grade basketball team at the time. They'd won something like 2 games out of 11. And that was their season so far. And Coach Wooden stopped eating. He put his fork down, dabbed his napkin to his mouth, sat up very straight, and then turned to face me. Now, this previously gentle, grandfatherly old man now looked over the top of his glasses at me. Now, I'd seen this face before, during sports highlights on TV, usually going toe-to-toe with an official during a game or grabbing one of his players by the collar for some correction. The coach looked at me and he said, "That's not what it's about." He didn't raise his voice, but his tone let me know how serious he was. I swallowed and thought to myself, oh, shit. For a moment, I knew what it felt like to be Bill Walton. The biggest difference between Walton and me, other than roughly 1.5 feet, red hair, and not understanding how anyone could like the Grateful Dead, is that he was schooled by Coach Wooden while in pursuit of NCAA championships. And I was being chewed out by the coach with nothing but a plate of rubbery chicken breast between him and me. So other than that, Walton and me were very similar. So the coach continued. He says, "It's not about winning. It's about knowing at the end of the day, when you lay your head down on your pillow, that you know you did the best you're capable of doing, that you gave it all you had, win or lose." So I took a sip, maybe I took a gulp of water. My mouth had gotten dry and my palms had gotten sweaty. I had to ask him, though, "Coach, with all those national championships, you never talked about winning?" This old man's expression softened a little bit. He shrugged his shoulders and got a sly smile on his face, and he said, "Oh, we often implied about winning, but that's not why we won. They did it by mastering the basics, with teamwork, with discipline, with hard practice, and hard work." Now, after lunch, Coach Wooden was introduced to the audience for his speech. Now, I was still sitting on stage, behind him and slightly to his right. So I had a view of the coach that others in the audience didn't have. Now, while he was waiting for the applause to die down, this old man reached into his coat for his handwritten, tattered index cards that he would look at off and on during his speech. He also took out a little chrome cross that the chrome was pretty much rubbed off of and held that in his hand the whole time he spoke. Now, even though I sat next to him during his whole speech, I have no idea what the coach said to the crowd that day. I don't remember a word of that public speech. I had already been coached one-on-one by the coach. and I remember every single word of it. Here's a quote from the late, great John Wooden. I always tried to make clear that basketball is not the ultimate. It is of small importance in comparison to the total life we live. I'll be right back. I may have told you the story about when I was putting my first book together, 101 Secrets for Living to Be 247. It dawned on me that the 4 things in life that you need to worry about, really only 4 things, are your body, your brain, your heart, and your hands. What's going into them, what's coming out of them, how you use them, how you rest them. That's about it. And if you can do just one little thing a day for each of those areas, you're going to turn your life around in a huge way in just about every way possible. Yeah, a tiny little change, just a slight variation in your routine, your days or your weeks, can make a huge difference in your final destination, in your life. Now, how much difference? Now, you've probably heard something like this before. Let's say you're flying from San Francisco to Washington, D.C., and your navigation is off just by 1 tiny degree. Well, the good news is you'll avoid Washington, D.C. Don't get me started there. The bad news is you'll end up outside Baltimore, about 43 miles away. Heck, our DNA is only 1.2% different than a chimpanzee's. Yeah, we came that close to communicating by throwing our poop at each other. Yeah, there are times where that's damn tempting, right? And just a couple of degrees difference in another direction, we could have ended up as dolphins. Yeah, you were almost Flipper. A side note, humans, chimpanzees, and dolphins are the only known species that have sex just for pleasure, because it feels good. Guess we're not all that dissimilar after all, right? So, little changes can result in big differences over time. Years ago, a company I worked for sent me to a class in Albuquerque, New Mexico on Six Sigma, Lean Six Sigma. One of the things they talked a lot about was a Japanese management style called Kaizen. Now, Kaizen is a word that means change for the better, continuous improvement by making large or small changes. This management philosophy has been used by some of the world's largest corporations to turn their businesses around from struggling and dysfunctional to thriving and profitable and world leaders. Now, they don't do it by firing everybody all at once and bringing in a new crew. They do it by making small, continuous changes. Little improvements for the better. That's Kaizen, and that's an important thing to think about. Little changes, just one at a time. Here's one small thing that you can start today, and this one's out of my book, 101 Secrets for Living to Be 247. And the thing about this that really bothers me is my son had to remind me of this. We were texting back and forth, and I was ranting and raving about politics probably. I don't even remember what it was about. And he texted me back. He says, Dad, turn off the news, pour yourself a whiskey, and turn on the Rolling Stones. It's good advice, and that was right out of my book. The tip is, turn off the TV. A 2010 study discovered that people who plant themselves in front of the TV were 46% more likely to die sooner than those who watch less than 2 hours per day. Yeah, lots of TV means you could die sooner. In fact, the study found that each hour you watch increases your overall risk of dying by 11%, and your risk of heart disease goes up 18%. And it's not just TV. It's your phone, it's your tablet, it's your PC, it's all the electronic stuff. Our time spent on social media is quickly catching up with TV time. Do you know the average person spends 135 minutes a day online? So try it just for a couple of days. Turn the TV off. Get away from social media for a couple of days. Pick up a book and read for 30 minutes. Wean yourself from TV, from social media, from electronics, and pick up a book. Try it. You'll see a difference in how you feel and your attitude, okay? Be right back. Listen, you don't have to throw away your whole lifestyle to start winning your fourth quarter. Remember, Kaizen, small changes for the better, continuous improvements done consistently can lead to big differences. A few small changes, maybe making some new habits and dropping some old ones, can make a big difference, right? So, try turning the TV off. Do that for 30 days and see what happens. I guarantee you the people around you will see a difference in you. Finally, here's one last quote from Coach John Wooden. It's the little details that are vital. Little things make big things happen. Listen, it's never too late to make changes, to start making little changes in your life. Just try to be a little bit better today than you were yesterday, okay? The game is won in the fourth quarter. You can win your game of life in your fourth quarter, okay? You've got this. Talk to you next time. Hey, thanks for listening to Your Fourth Quarter. Will you let us know what you think about it? Your comments, the good and the bad, your suggestions and ideas for future episodes, whatever's on your mind, we want to hear it. Also, make sure you sign up on this page for new episode alerts to keep you in the loop about what's going on at Your Fourth Quarter. Now, I promise not to spam you with junk or share your information with somebody that is going to spam you with junk. And we appreciate your comments, likes, and shares on your favorite social media platforms. Really, thanks for telling your friends about us and for checking out and doing business with our sponsors. So until we talk again next time, remember, you're alive, so keep on living. You are going to win this game of life in your fourth quarter.